and welcome to Hawai'i Resources, the podcast where we moms from Maui with all different backgrounds come together to connect our local community with tools, knowledge, and real talks to support all we need to thrive here in Hawaii. I'm Chelsea, and we have Dawn and Joy, and together we're digging into everything from food, finances, childcare, tech tips, real estate, and relationships. Every week, we meet you here and we sit down, talk story, and share resources from the community. And this week, we have the privilege to have Brittani Kelly here with us. And it warms our heart because actually she is the reason why we are all together today. So, Brittani, I guess you can start off and share with us what you do.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me on here. And I do miss all of you guys. And I'm so thankful for having the opportunity to spend time with you guys. So, I am the director of Elevate Christian Homeschool Co-op. We are a co op that's an academic co op where we focus on the academics. We try to get as much of the schoolwork done in the days that we meet to help learn together. And so that's a blurb of kind of what we are. I don't know how far you want me to go right now, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. I know. So how I got into the co-op was I was looking for a preschool for my daughter, and of course I'm looking in July when it's the very not time to start looking for a preschool for your child if they're starting in August. And my church handed out the flyer that says, "Hey, this new co-op homeschool is starting," and so I went, I signed up, and then I told Dawn about it, and Dawn signed up. So, and then we met Joy. So that was really cool. And my daughter really enjoyed it. I think it was such a good experience into the homeschooling world. Yeah. Like, I don't know. What do you, Dawn and Joy? What's your overview of how the
Well, I feel that Brittani is just spectacular. Her whole family is. And I just love the fact that it's very family oriented and she incorporates different activities, so that the kids are always interested. I love it around the holiday. I mean, I loved it around the holidays. They would always incorporate different things for the kids. All the activities outside too of, like the classrooms was really good too. I think Brittani is very passionate and she's very caring. I feel that, she runs the school she's very organized as well. I really enjoyed the co-op and my son did as well.
I think it made homeschooling seem like at first it's like, oh my gosh, I can't teach my child, but it made it possible.
Possible, exactly. She gives you the resources that you need, like all the resources that you need to be able to homeschool your child. And it's something that I had never really considered in the past, but it's nice. These co-ops are amazing because, I know a lot of people are scared to do co-ops because of, they think that their child is going to lack social interaction. And that's not true. With these co-ops, like, that's with homeschooling, like a lot of times people are scared to do homeschooling because they're scared that their kids are not going to have that social interaction. Excuse me, let me correct myself. But the co-ops allow your child to have that social interaction, you know what I mean? If you are homeschooling your child. And it is amazing. It is amazing. And I feel that your child, they kind of introduce a different way of teaching. So your child is learning to think out of the box, which I actually really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the co-op program and I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it.
Well, like Chelsea said a while ago, I met Brittany on Facebook. I just moved here in Maui. I'm from Philippines, and I had my son. First thing, I was just thinking to also to find like a group of mom and same age of my son JJ, and I posted on Facebook and Brittany messaged me, and now I'm happy. I'm really blessed that I am part of your, you know, I'm part of your life. That you're not just like a friend of me, but also a family. And also Brittany is not just bringing you to teach kids, literally for school stuff, but also to be more closer to God. So that's what I am very thankful that I am JJ is there. And at the first day, JJ is not scared. he's really excited to be in co-op, and he always excited to come co-op. So we miss you, and yeah, like what Don said, and JJ dad is he is more prepared to bring JJ at the homeschooling. So maybe in my questions later, I will ask Brittany, what are the most reasons, or do you think factors that parents decided or choose to be in homeschooling than the regular school?
So yeah, so there's many reasons why families choose to homeschool. Um, there's some have um, have religious beliefs and don't, there's just so much going on in the public school that they don't agree with. That was part of our reason. We did put our oldest in school for a semester, and she was coming home. We were playing a video game one day, and she just dropped some words that I was just like, oh my goodness, like that was kind of worrisome. So there's that aspect, the religious aspect, and so you can't afford the tuition on maybe a private school, but um, and so just wanting to have a little bit more of their own input into it. There's some who can't go to school because they don't believe in vaccinations, and so they're kind of forced to have to homeschool. Um, there's others who there's something called outschooling, which those typically don't join a co-op that's more academic because they're more about like learning as life goes on. And then there's some who love to travel, and so just having that ability to go travel without getting calls from the social worker, your kid's been out so many days. Yeah, so there's a broad width of people who homeschool, and it's not all just like religious reasons. And it during COVID, that really like it kind of pushed a lot of people. There were a lot of people who were like, oh, I can totally do this. Like we can homeschool, we can kind of be on our own schedule. We're not having the morning fight to get you out the door. You're not coming home exhausted. You're not, and I have more of a say in what you're learning. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of different reasons.
Well, Brittany, could you talk about some of the resources that the Elevate, Christian Homeschooling Co-op has to offer to, parents who are homeschooling?
Yeah, so we have age graded classes. So we do have groups for each grade. We actually don't have preschool this year. We only had one child registered for preschool, and he's just hanging out with the kindergartners, picking up what he can. So we have a kindergarten group, we have a first grade group, second grade group, and then our third and fourth grade group is together. And they do math, language arts, social studies, and science. So we do cover a good bit of the material. Everything that we use is it's biblical worldview. We believe that it needs to be taught, as the Bible teaches. We are not against teaching things like, for say, we might expose our kids to what things are outside, but in a way to where they can defend it biblically as to this is actually what happened, and so they can defend themselves without just being caught off guard of like, what is that? No, that's not, and can have good conversation about it. With our third and fourth grade group, we do still split the math and language arts according to their levels, but they do the social studies and science together. So everybody's still, moving and learning to read and do their math in their specific levels. And it's an opportunity for moms to come, and there's some moms who are like, yeah, I tapped out at kindergarten and I have third and fourth graders and I still want to homeschool, but I don't feel competent in homeschooling that level. And so I say, okay, great. You can go into the kindergarten class and I'll take your third and fourth graders, or, whatever the level is. Or for me, my struggle was I had 3 kids, and when I was homeschooling with my oldest 2, my younger one was still 3. And I would sit with them and do their work while I was hearing in the back of the house and the toy room. I mean, I just knew it was an explosion going on back there. And so not only was she not getting that time that she needed of just somebody pouring into her, but but now like everybody has an opportunity to everybody has the ability to say, okay, like each of my kids can be focused on, and it's not going to take me a full day for all of them to get some time, in their learning. I can, condense it down some, then allowing for more time at home,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
maybe you want to teach them a different language, or you want to take them
Mhm.
to other things. And like also just being available for, hey, we're struggling with this. Do you have any pointers
Yeah.
on that thing? So
Yeah, actually, that's JJ's dad also prepare, not too much on spending time on school, but just like perfect, like 3 hours at the co-op. He said that is a perfect, to do socializing with other kids. And we also a little bit, lessons, another lessons for him to teach when he's home. And
hmm
yeah, the good factors also is the tuition, which is super cheap compared to school or regular private school,
Right.
especially if your child is on starting to go to school, like you don't even know yet if they were just comfortable or not. This co-op is really perfect that, a starter for the kids to, to what we call that, to be more confident enough in future that they can also to go to
yeah,
regular school.
yeah,
I think so too. Like it gives us a break, or it not just us, but it gives our kids a break from us. Like learn this stuff, and then it's somebody else now telling them. Sometimes when somebody else says it,
absolutely.
it's what it is. But if we say it, it's not what it is.
You're right. Yeah. Yes, there's definitely those. There's where you guys know with my child that we just butt heads a lot because we were probably, a little too similar in personality. And then Chelsea and Don and even Joy, you guys jumped in and helped teach her, and she just, she needed that, just the somebody else that just was so encouraging and not frustrated that it's like you should know this by now. And
Yeah.
so it is helpful to have those mix of personalities too, because you do jive with different personalities, and it's unfortunately not always your parent.
Yeah.
Well, your
Actually,
daughters are magnificent. And
Thank you.
I have to tell you that. Yeah.
I think for me, I feel that co-op is not just like a starting training for the kids, but also for the mom, because for me, I don't know if I can really teach other kids,
Mm,
but it builds also my confidence, not only JJ, but me to handle, to teach other kids, which is, oh, I was just thinking, maybe I can, and then after a while, oh, I can do it.
yeah.
It's a good experience too,
Yeah, and it's
to
a
be on a
safe
co-op.
place because it's so, it's not like here's 40 kids, it's
Yeah,
a safe
yeah,
place where you can do that for sure.
What I really enjoyed about the co-op was learning from all the different moms and from you, Brittany, because you're an experienced teacher and you've taught, intermediate, and you're amazing. And so it was really nice to see how like everybody's teaching techniques, like watching Chelsea, watching Joy, and I picked up like things from everyone and learning from you. Like, I mean, I just loved when you would do like science, projects with the kids. And I just love the way that you would go about it. And Chelsea, just she's like so fun and like creative. And so is Joy, Joy's amazing too. So it was nice being able to see. That's the nice thing about the co-op, is because you're learning from all these different parents and teachers and you're able to implement that when you go home, like you're figuring out what works for your child. And that's what I really enjoyed about the
Even in just
homeschooling program.
parenting, I mean, I've learned so much about, oh, maybe I've
Right.
been a little too much on this, or give a little bit more grace, and seeing how parents, were interact with their kids. And even in that, like I tell people all the time, what's so cool about the co-op is like you go to a birthday party when your kids are like in public school, they finally get invited to a birthday party, and you go, and it's so awkward because all the kids know each other. At least it is for me, because I'm more introverted, and like all the
mm,
kids know each other, and you're just kind of like, hey guys, like I guess we can talk for the next 2 hours, even though I probably will never see you again in my life. But like with the co-op, it like, hey, when our families get together, we already have that like relationship, and it's just fun like to get together outside as well, and to have like a family, a community where it's like everybody together is
It's funny that you said that, because that you're saying this, because as soon as we started this podcast, I just felt comfortable because I know all three of you, and
Yeah.
you guys are like family to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel that way. I feel very comfortable with the three of you. So it's funny. I'm always nervous before before I do
Yeah.
these interviews. You
normal.
know, I think everyone, they won't admit it, but I think everyone gets a little nervous.
Yeah.
But I get a little nervous, and but I knew that you were coming on, and I know what kind of person you are, and I was, you know, I just felt on, like I just feel comfortable. So, and I feel that, you know, I hope that more parents come to see you, you know, that are homeschooling, because I feel that you are one of the most amazing. You have one of the most amazing programs, and you're doing such a good job.
Well, it's not mine, it's all God's.
It is, you know,
I
and
think
thank
it's
God.
good too that you know, like we have our days that we can go in and help,
Mhm.
and there's the days that we don't. So it gives us that, you know, that time period where we can just run around and do all the things that we need to
Yeah.
do without the kids in tow.
Right.
And I mean, I feel like we get triple the things done in that time frame,
Right.
and then we can focus on, you know, the kids when they get home. So I think that's a really good thing. And I don't know if you're doing it this year, but that parent time when we had the parent group, no,
Yeah.
that was a good time too. And I think that's what strengthened us, you know, as moms,
Yeah.
and brought us closer together, because we were able to, you know, read the Bible, read, you know, and see how God works in our lives. And I think like I don't know if you, Don, enjoy
Yeah. I
notice
miss
and
that.
saw,
I miss
but
that
how much
thing.
I saw how much you guys grew from when you first started to the end. You know, that's an amazing thing to see just within our parent group.
Yeah, that really helped. Yeah, that really helped. I hope you're still doing that. Are you still doing that, Brittany? The
We're
parent
still
group?
figuring out the time on it. So yeah, and there's actually a lot of our parents are volunteering more than the one day, like they're doing 2 or 3 days, and so that balances
Wow,
out
that's
the
really
time.
good.
But yeah, we're still figuring out the right time for that opportunity for them to come together, and it is important, and it's important for us to know like we're all broken people. Like it
And we're
doesn't
not alone.
matter, like we all have our different like problems and issues, and we're, you know, that's why it's so important for us to be part of a community, even as a church, you know, that we're just sloughing through this world the best that we can. And when we're in a community, we can really like build each other up, and especially when it's surrounded around Christ and who he is in our life.
So I do want to talk to you about, like, I wanted you to be able to share with everyone what the cost of, you know, the co-op is, and what, like, you know, like, and like make them, like, you know, let them know that you guys are supplying a lot of the material, because, and, you know, if you could kind of share all of that with us, like what kind of
Yeah.
extracurricular activities are involved, you know, with the program, that would be great.
Yeah, so it is $1,000 per kid for the whole year. Most places, schools, or
Yeah.
schools, you're looking more $800 to $1,200 a month. And so it's for the whole year. And there is, commitment from the parents. It is a co-op, so like I don't even get paid. Everything is volunteer. And so that covers, your school supplies. This year we got little school supply boxes for the kids, because I learned last year like it's just easier to have something there on hand for them. And like there's like some textbooks, like parents will buy like the consumable textbooks, so those are the books that the kids write in. But this year we have some like history textbooks, so those stay there. I'm trying to build like a good solid library with some good Christian books, and so just as time goes, and finding that. And then we also have opportunities to have excursions, and going on field trips. So last year we were able to go to like the alpaca farm, and we went to Maui Ocean Center. That's what it's called. Maui Ocean Center. You guys
Twin
are going to help
Falls.
me. We did pony rides. What do you say?
We went to Twin Falls too.
We went to Twin
We did a tour
Falls.
at Twin Falls.
Yeah, they have an education program, and so they took us through the farm, which was so cool. And now my kids love going there and picking out all the little things. And yeah, so there's opportunities for us to go and have those learning experiences, which sometimes when you're just trying to do that as your family, you don't have. It's hard to get in places, but when you're like, hey, this is an educational group, can you guys help us out? And more than not, the people are like, oh yeah, you can come, like check it out. We offer either like free tours or discounted tours because it's a larger group, and then they have like the educational aspect. I do offer a lot of discounts. I don't ever want money to be an issue. Like, this is a ministry of the church, and I don't ever want money to be like holding somebody back. But we do offer discounts. If you have multiple children, after the first child, then it's 25% off. If you decide that, hey, I'm going to take on a class, I'm going to be there all 3 days, make sure it's covered, you don't have to think about anything for it, then the family gets half off of all their kids' tuition. You say, hey, I can volunteer more than one day, you get discounts. So like, there's all sorts of discounts. It's kind of like some families, they have to work, and that's fine. And so they're figuring out that balance in order to be there. And then there's some families who are like, I don't have to work, so I can contribute my time, and so that's kind of like the trade-off. And so that's how we help each other out. Some can, stay there the 3 days, some cannot, but and so it balances it all out. But yeah, it really is like so awesome how we do parties throughout the year, your Christmas parties, your Valentine's parties, and sometimes I forget the Easter, and we have wonderful parents who put together Easter eggs. So I thank you for taking care of that last year.
You're welcome.
And Don, and just like we have science. Our science curriculum has, like, I call them experiences, because when you say experiments, the kids are expecting volcanoes to blow up every time. But they have those that it goes for. And so it's just the good and the beautiful, the language arts, they go through like art things. And so like this year we have one class who's doing like watercolors, and one class they're doing like learning how to like use their markers to actually make different kind of designs. Another class is using pastels. And so when you come to when you're coming, like, all of these things are supplied. The parents only having to make sure that they have certain books there. So yeah.
So how do you encourage social interaction and friendships among the kids?
Yeah, so they're all in their classes, and they're small classes. We plan, we cap out at 10. We haven't reached that point yet. We are getting close in some of our classes, which is exciting. But we cap out at 10 because that allows the kids to just really have like a good interaction with each other. Once you get past 10, then it starts getting a little too cliquey and things like that. But then it also allows the teacher to have better management with those kids. And so as you're growing closer to those kids as a teacher, you can really speak into their lives, and you can really like help them out, because you're not just so like overwhelmed with so many kids. So that's one way. We do have a Bible study in the morning that all the kids come to, and so they're learning in the Word together. We have snack time throughout the day, so even if they're in different classes, they still have opportunity. Even before school, it's probably the most fun for the kids. They just have some free play time for about 15 minutes before while everybody's showing up. And this year we actually they just play in the sanctuary, and this year we just put a lot of the chairs off to the side, so they've got like this massive area playing banana tag and whatever other game. And then we also do have like a games and rec time, which is really cool. This year I found there is a curriculum called Team Kid through Lifeway, and we do like our Bible lessons, and then they actually have games that like correlate directly to the Bible lesson. So that's
Oh, that's cool.
like reinforces, like they have their opportunity to play a game, but then it also reinforces the lessons that they're learning in Bible study time. So yeah, there's plenty of times. And then at the end of the day, the kids help clean everything up
Yeah.
with the mom. So, there's that level of ownership and responsibility being built there as well.
I did want to ask you, so if a parent is struggling at home with homeschooling, what kind of support does the co-op give to parents who are, to a mom or a father or even grandparents, any, guardian that is homeschooling that, a child? Like, what kind of support can you give to that guardian, if they're struggling with homeschooling?
Yeah. When you're part of the group, what's great is like you have other people there to help. And so if you're not feeling adequate, there's other teachers there to help in the levels of your school. And parents are also, welcome to reach out to me, reach out to other parents. Just because I have a degree doesn't mean that there's not another parent who's like, hey, I did this and it worked great. Because degrees aren't always the answers. Just because somebody didn't have, the hundreds of thousands of dollars or whatever it is. I don't know how much tuition is for schools these days, but just because they didn't have that money to go to college doesn't mean that they don't have skills that God's given them to help with that. And so when they're coming into that community, I'm definitely there as a resource. But I'm not the only one. There's a lot of moms who've been homeschooling for, many years longer than I have, and they can give good input to like, hey, we've tried this and that's worked, but we tried this with our other kid and that didn't work, so we had to find this. And because every kid is unique and we don't ever want to put them just in a box, but we can really help like figure out what things we can then say, hey, if you take this home. Last year I had a student who was struggling reading, and so we found some like little articles that he could just take home then and like read through, and as he like read through them repetitively, then his reading was getting stronger. And so it's finding those things that we can send home and say, well, outside the co-op time, these will help then support what's going on inside or your other school journeys.
Well, Brittany, that was the next question that I was going to ask you. How you have seen it benefit parents and children, the program. And I love that you're attentive to that you were like, okay, you know what, if we do this with him, he'll improve, Could you tell me your favorite success story, like with a parent and child? Like, or I know you probably have many. I just want to hear some, like, you can share that.
I don't know if I have a favorite per se, but just really seeing the kids growing together, and like I said, like seeing this one student that I worked with so closely, and just like how he was just so excited to come back again and work with me, when I was like, oh, that's such a like, I'm very like to the point, and so sometimes it's hard for me. Like sometimes kids are like, oh, she's so like strict, and I'm just like, no, like I just know this is a way that can really help you. And so I'm trying to make sure that you do that. And so like it was really encouraging when he's like, oh, I learned so well from her. And so, I'm so thankful to God that that he allowed us to work together. But just seeing like just the kids, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just seeing the kids interacting with each other and just loving. You see the big kids loving the younger ones. Like that's where it's at. Relationships are so important. And when we're able to build those relationships and those kids have those strong relationships, and then they can learn to how to interact with one another in a loving and kind way with good guidance. And like, that's why it's so great. Like with the co-op, you have the extra parents there who are helping in the classrooms, and that it's not just like one teacher with 30 kids, and they don't see everything that happens. And so it's so good to have so much input and so much godly input into all of these kids' lives. And I would say that's the biggest success. Like education is good, and we do find it important. It is important for our kids to learn to read, because how can you read God's word if you don't know how to read? And how can you defend your faith if you don't know how to answer, well, why is that the question, the answer, whether and the kids hate that, right? When they answer a question and then you're like, well, why? And then they change their answer and they're like, well, why? And so as they're learning to defend just their answers, that teaches them, then as they're learning, they can then defend their faith, and they can stand strong and say, like, I know this is true, and I know how to defend the truth because I'm being raised in a way to think independently and to go to God's word and say, well, this is actually what God's word said. It doesn't say that two random particles came together and blew up to make the world, and so we can depend on this to then take it to everything else. And so, I mean, those are the biggest successes, that we're coming together and we're loving one another, and we're growing in our faith, and we're growing in our relationships as we're learning. Like, what could be better than that?
Yeah.
What are your hopes for the future for Elevate?
Hold on one second. I gotta get my charger.
Yeah.
Found my hook.
I think so too. Like you're right. Just seeing that the relationships that was built, like, even if it's just 3 days a week for, just that morning period, the amount of relationships and strength that was built that my daughter got, she's like, oh, I want to see Kalea. I want to see, she made so many friends.
Yeah.
And and it wasn't just going to school and then coming back, like, so that's the difference. So now my daughter is going to a public school with the big class, and when I asked her, oh, how was school today, what's your friends' names, she can't name all the friends, but you asked her who her friends were when
As a co-op, yeah.
on the co-op, she knew every single one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and the same goes with Brian.
That's so true.
Brian, like they became so bonded with each other, and I mean, they just loved each other. They were like family. And the older kids, like how you said, they learned how to relate to the younger kids and how to treat the younger kids, and the younger kids look up to the older kids, and and it was just the older kids were wonderful with the younger kids. And it's because of your teachings, through God. And I really believe that with all my heart. Like it's an amazing program. That's all I have to say. Like,
but
that's all I have to say.
I love too, like, how relaxed the classes are. You have kids working on the floor. You have kids, like, when they get up to help somebody,
they can be themselves.
Yeah, like I feel like in a larger classroom, you have to have such a strong classroom manager, like, stay in your seats. If you get up and move around, like, then that just kind of leads to chaos. But like, you see them able to, like, go and help each other, and it's okay. Like, getting up and moving is, it's they don't have to feel so, like, rigid.
Yeah. Like, it's I know, it's like, okay, let's do this line of problems and then jump on the couch.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I would have pillow fights with. I used to have pillow fights with your daughter.
The things I learned later.
Did she tell you about that?
I think she did. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, it is. It's like so freeing, because there's so you're not so, like, stuck in that rigid situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as hopes for the future, I mean, God will lead how it is. My vision is that we just continue adding a grade. I mean, last year I was planning on adding 1 grade, and I ended up adding 2 because of God's leading, and so thankful I did, because there's, situation, like, I have 2 sisters, one's in 3rd and one's in 4th, or I have, just different situations that were just like, even the family that I thought was going to come in, that to add another 4th grader, they decided not to join this year, which is fine. That's the joy of homeschool. You can do what you want to do, right? And but God knew that I needed that nudge, and so so we actually added 2 grades this year. Our space is limited, but we're praying through that, and God will provide what we need. And I mean, just as simple as I bought some partitions because I thought we needed an extra space for the preschool room. And we didn't actually end up needing it, but where I was planning on having the second graders was a little too warm, and the partitions were there. And so we were able to then just make the partitions for the second grade room. And so I just love how God just like, he knows all the details. He's in all the details. And I mean, I'm just like, you guys know, I'm usually super anxious, and I'm just like, it's fine. Like, God's got this. You know? Like, I don't know. Like, it was funny. In like 2 days, I had people saying something about like high school with co-op, and I'm like, that it just seems very scary to me. I don't know, because you know, high school has so many different options and all that. And it's like, you know what? I'm focusing on where we're at right now. You know, my dream is to keep adding, keep being able to grow it in that way. But you know, it's what God has in his plan, and I'm just gonna trust him. I mean, for all I know, in 2 years, he says, you know, not where, I don't know, we just don't need it anymore. I don't know. Like, I hope not, you know, but it is, you know, just following him and seeing what he has for it.
How can people in the community support Elevate, the Elevate, you know, Christian Homeschooling Co-op?
Yeah, it's always fun to have like opportunities to go places. You know, we've been so thankful for, you know, the places in the community that have offered discounted or, you know, even free field trips, because, you know, we do try to keep the prices low. You know, we can always accept donations, you know, and I would love to get to a point of where we could pay our teachers something. But even then, you know, it wouldn't be much, but just something to, because most of us who are homeschooling, we are taking pay cuts in other areas. You know, either you're stay-at-home mom completely, or dad. I mean, it could be dad. It's just all moms right now. Or you're working part-time, or you're working night shift from 12 to 3 for whatever reason. And you know, you're making a sacrifice somewhere. And so I would love to be able to, you know, pay at some point, but I don't want it to be something that's super unaffordable for families either. I feel like having that is the most important. So yeah, donations are always accepted. If you have something cool, like if you're, I don't know, like I know we've had some people come in who, you know, like the FCA, one of the FCA people came in, and she was doing like the games and rec for a while, and was, you know, just had things like that. She let out some groups. So really just anything that you think is worth teaching the kids about, or you know, being part of, we're up for talking about it and seeing how we can make it fit in. I would love to have a garden somewhere. Our area, our church that it's located at, is completely covered, you know, surrounded by pavement. And so I think it would be really cool to be able to like have somewhere where there's, you know, some sort of garden, yeah, and space. If anybody has, you know, space for a co-op, that would be great, because we're starting to bust at the seams that we have. But yeah, that's where we're at.
You know what I love about you is you're always looking for ways to improve, you know, your co-op. And I know the other day you were telling me how, you know, like another thing that I noticed, because my nephews were homeschooled all the way from kindergarten to 8th grade, and then they sent them to school for a little, I mean, to 6th grade, excuse me, and then they sent them to school for a little while, and then decided to homeschool them again. And the one thing that I noticed that they kind of struggled with was with extracurricular activities like sports, because then you have to sign them up individually. But with the co-op, the nice thing about this is you can actually sign them up as a team. You know what I mean? So I always encourage people to do it this way, so your child doesn't feel uncomfortable, so they feel like they're going in to, you know, they can do group sports together, like basketball. You and I talked about this, and you're already looking into it, because the first thing you asked me for was Rudy's number, so that, and see, do you see how you are? Like, you're already looking at ways to improve your co-op. And that's what kids need. They need those extracurricular activities. It's important. This is how they bond with others. This is how they learn to get along with others. They get the social interaction that they need. And I'm impressed by that, and I know that you even talked about, you and I were talking about you possibly incorporating music classes later on in the future. And you already have possible, like you have art classes from like professionals that are going to be stepping in to help you, right, in the future. So I know that I just think that it's amazing that that you're always looking at ways to improve and to grow. And I love that about you, Brittany.
Thank you. Yeah, I really do want, like, I do want it to be an opportunity where the families can come and connect and yeah, have those. If we can put a team together and join some sort of sport, like, why not, and have that opportunity for the kids. And it will take time, just like I never got to school pictures last year that I tried to multiple occasions, but I just, I was trying to do too much at one time. But my husband always has to remind me, you're on year 2, you're trying to be on year 5. Or not, last year was year 1, you're on year 1, and you're, expecting, stuff that would be more in place in year 5. And but even so, like, God's just done so much, and I would love to have those opportunities for them to, compete on sports. And because that stuff is expensive as well to do privately. And if there's an opportunity for us to, hey, we already have a group together and these kids want to do that, then, like I said, let's use our group to our advantage and be able to join into the communities in those areas as well. Because we don't want to be, it's not like we want to be just this secluded little group off to the side. Like, there's nothing wrong with, Christ says, being in the world, just not of the world. And so there's nothing wrong with doing those things. And so any way that we can interact and be part of the community, we're glad to do it.
Yeah. Like, for example, I mean, like, when my nephew was doing homeschooling, it's like how I said, he did a lot of individual sports, right? Because that's what you do when you do homeschooling. Like, you're kind of looking for more individual sports. Once in a while, like how you said, soccer is expensive, to sign up for. Like, some parents, they just can't afford it. But if you're coming in as a group, and sometimes, other schools will be willing to work with you, and they'll be like, yeah, you guys can come in and, like Seabury or like, St. Anthony or other schools, even the DOE might be like, hey, you know what, you guys have a basketball team, we're willing to set up games with you, and I just think that's, and for cross country, any, group you can sign up as a group. So it's nice that you're doing that. I think for track and field as well. So I think that's good that you're looking at all these extracurricular activities that the kids can get involved with, because it is hard when you're homeschooling, your child, it's hard for parents to, and it's nice to have a co-op that's willing to help you with all of those things, with all of those extracurricular activities. And then they don't feel alone too. The child doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm stepping into this sport, I don't know anyone, everyone knows each other, because like they jump on a soccer team and everybody knows each other because they go to school together. And he's just like, oh my gosh, like, who are all these kids? And he feels kind of out of place, or she feels kind of out of place. But with this co-op group, it's nice because even though you can teach, at home and teach your values at home, but then you can also make sure that they learn how to adapt to society and how to deal with the world and how to deal with other kids from different walks of life and or just people in general from different walks of life. So I love that you're open-minded and you're doing that.
Yeah, homeschooling is a lot different today than I feel like when we grew up. I feel like when we grew up, those were the weird kids. Sorry, guys.
Those are
like, it was just like it wasn't the same, and so I think a lot of people are scared to homeschool because they think that that's what they're going to end up with. I mean, you can still have weird kids, it's okay, like but and the thing is I think as you grow up you realize they weren't actually weird, they were their own individual, and they were sculpted by the same system, and they could actually be okay with wearing the clothes that they liked and not just what was in style or whatever. And so, but even so, there is so much more available to homeschoolers now in like homeschooling communities, just because we're all so much more connected in general because we live in this digital age. And so like it is cool that it is cool to homeschool now.
And
But there is, there's so many resources available. There's so many like supports available that are so accessible now. And so, it really is a good option for people who are just not comfortable with what they're, seeing in the different school system settings that they may have their kids in.
Right.
And I did share that with you. Like, I feel like kids that are, homeschooled, they get a different perspective on life, and it's, they, a lot of times they learn to think out of the box because, they're not following this. I don't want to down the school system because that's not what I'm doing. I feel that, there's nothing wrong with our school system, too. Like, but I think
that it's just
to
like,
each
it's
to
a
each is their
rigid
own.
system. It's a rigid system that
It's a
has to
rigid
follow.
system. So
And
that's
with
what it is.
homeschool,
Right.
it's just open. You can
Right,
do what you
exactly.
want to teach them.
Exactly. Like, I feel like it's a little bit more flexible. So your child is able to have the freedom to do things that they normally wouldn't be able to do in like in any other school system. You know what I mean? So I just think that a lot of the times they learn to kind of think out of the box, like
So like how
they're
you're
not the round peg, they're the square peg, that doesn't
like you have the option of like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready to send my child to the next level. I want them to do like you're teaching them at their pace.
Yeah,
Not
absolutely.
forced to like shoo them to the next or give them that, oh man, I didn't make it to the next level.
Right.
Just,
Yeah.
And I'm not
Yeah.
downing our
Yeah.
school systems. Like,
know?
don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, I think our school systems are great. Like a lot of parents have to work these days. They don't have they send their kids to school because they have to make a living. Both parents here, especially in Hawaii, with it
Right.
being expensive, you have to work. And our
Right.
school system, like how you said, there's a lot of kids with one teacher, two, like a teacher and an assistant teacher. And to be able to deal with that, you have to be organized. You have to be the school has to be a little bit more rigid, like how Chelsea said, in order to be able to teach. And you want all the kids to meet up to a certain standard because that's what's required of those teachers, is to make sure that those kids are meeting up to a certain standard. So I applaud them too, and I give them credit for all the hard work that they do as well. But I love that you are also offering parents the opportunity to educate their kids in another way too. And I love that there's these other co-op groups out there. And see, I'm still a part of it. Like, I still want to be a part of it. In fact, I have my son still participating in activities with Brittany and the whole group because I believe in what you're doing too, Brittany. I do. I believe in what you're doing. And go ahead.
I really like co-op for a lot of great reasons. But the one reason that I really like it, that kids nowadays is that not just like close to God, which is this co-op is really not just like have a great curriculum program, but also they teach a kid closer to God, and they teach the value of prayer, which is JJ learned, to be honest, because JJ didn't even pray much before. But then, every time they start their school time, they pray, and then before they go home, they pray. That's what is great. That JJ building also their faith and fear God and being more prayerful. That is a very nice thing that kids really nice to start to learn. Not just only the curriculum, but that's also the best reason. And even CJ didn't even sing any songs. I heard him sing Christian songs that he knows from the co-op, which is really nice, to be honest. And he just like got fearing, like, oh, I did bad, for sure God will be sad when that, which is really nice. For
It's funny that Joy says that because Brian sings Jesus Loves Me all the time. Like, he sings it all the time.
Yeah.
And that's one of the songs like that he's gotten, like he's remembered, like he's gotten it nailed down. Like, it's funny. Like, there's other ones I'm like, do you know this one? And he's like, no, but he can sing the whole Jesus loves me. He can sing the whole entire
Yeah,
thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, like
that's a
I
great
love that.
thing, which
Yeah.
if I am going to advise or just like tell other moms regarding about homeschooling or even regular school, it's really nice that kids they are building their relationship to God, not only to, different personality or community, but the most thing is, to build your relationship closer to God. That is really nice, and
Yeah.
I'm thankful that I'm being part of co-op.
I just wanted to speak back real quick to what Chelsea was talking about, how you can kind of move according to the child. And that is one thing that we do as well is, if the child, it's based on what the parent sees the need is. And so if the parent feels like, hey, I actually feel like they are well, doing well. And even though they're, I don't know, whatever age, we can move them forward. In which we're actually doing with your son, Joy, and that, technically if he was to enter into um, the school system, he wouldn't be allowed to start kindergarten because
Exactly. Yeah.
he's, not yet 5, or he missed the cutoff. I don't think he's 5 yet. But, it was like we saw him and we saw he was, able to keep up, and he's learned so much from you. And then there's other parents who say, you know what, we've been struggling. We're still struggling with these things. And so I think it'll be good for them to start here. And so it is nice to like have that, and like for the parents to be involved, to see that. And in the public schools, I totally get the public schools and what has to happen. I was in them for 11 years. And so, I see it all. I've struggled through it all. I left for personal reasons, but then also just I was burned out, but part of that was my own personal, not depending on God like I should have been. And so I wasn't taking those things to him. But you do see, kids falling through the cracks. And that was one of the things that like I was teaching 8th grade. And so I actually kind of took it upon myself and like our team, and really enforced with our team, like if we have kids who are really struggling, we need to make sure that they're getting the support that they need before they get into high school, because once they get into high school, it was going to be another ballgame completely. And so so I love to be able to like support the kids and say, let's get you, I hated it was so hard to like sit there and have to teach a kid 8th grade curriculum when they just entered the country and they didn't even know English, but they were
Oh,
put into my classroom because they were 13 years old. And I mean, I had one child, he couldn't even color between the lines. He had no exposure to any kind of like formal education or even having like the tools. And so like I felt bad because I had so many kids that I couldn't sit and say, hey, let's start where you're at and then go from there. And so I do love having that opportunity to really do that with them. And I do support, like, our teachers do a great job with what they have in front of them in the public school systems. And I'm so thankful for them. And I know that they do work so hard, and they work with what they have and what they're given. So many, they spend not only their money, but a lot of their time doing the best that they can. And so like I do applaud them. And it's just, this is a great opportunity as well for families who are able to do this. And so um, there's nothing wrong with supporting both ways,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so
Exactly.
if we can come together and love each other through it all, then it may be where it goes, both ways. Yeah, so it is. I have many friends in the school system and love them all, and know that they're working their tails off to like get these kids the education that they need.
Brittany, you're amazing. You're amazing.
I know. Thank you so much for meeting with us today and just
Yeah.
sharing about the co-op. And like I said, I was excited to do this one because really your co-op is the reason why the three of us are together. And now we're growing not just from the co-op, but we're growing together as friends, as families, and our kids can grow up together continually even though now we're all of our separate ways, because now Dawn's all the way up country. I'm still, Wailuku, it's like we're still connected together. So
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
thank you for that.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
is there anything else as we close up today that you want to share with everyone? Co-op.
Not really. Can I just pray over you guys and what you guys are doing?
Yes,
Yes.
All
please.
right, let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we're so thankful for this opportunity to meet and just share about what you've done in our community through Elevate Homeschool Christian Co-op. And I'm thankful for these ladies and just how they are putting together resources to help our families here on this island. And it's so important for everybody here who's just so many just are struggling to make things happen, and they're trying to put everything in one place. So I just pray for success for them, and because the success for them would be seeing families being successful on the island. And so I just pray for that for them. Thank you so much for this time together. And thank you for just everything that you do in our lives. I'm so thankful for their friendships and that we can just come together and be comfortable with one another because we are sisters in Christ. And so, yeah, I just love them so much. And thank you for them. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. I know. So that brings us to a close. And again, mahalo everyone for joining us today on Hawaii Resources. And we hope you heard something that filled your cup, gave you an idea, or gave you the courage to take the next step for your ohana. And if today's episode inspired you, I invite you to share it with a friend, your neighbor, your auntie, or whoever has been trying to figure it all out. Watch our show. Make sure you follow and subscribe and drop us a comment in the comment section if you feel if you feel like you want to or need to. And we do read every single one, and don't forget to check us out back for the next show. Mahalo everybody.
Hello.
Mahalo.